This episode of Bouts Talking Bouts is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Winning parlays, if you're looking for them in BKFC, you got to be checking out BK Bet Shark. Here's the thing, $50 buys, you get a personalized bet slip. It's based on your own budget. You can be flexible. It is what works for you. And this guy's got the receipts. You can check out all the winning tickets. You can peep them, and you can do so at Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Check him out on Instagram and get with it. Got them personalized betting slips going on, $50 buys. All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Radio, very excited to be talking to an individual who competes at BKFC 55 and in the headline attraction, no less, which goes down on November the 18th. We've got Danny Christie knuckling up and towing the line against Jared Warren, and great having Jared on the show. How's everything going, man? You having a solid day?
Yeah, man. Weather's actually quite nice today. Just threw my girl Crystal in the car. She's headed to Orlando, doing the last couple little media things today, and then she's got weigh-ins tomorrow, and then of course the fight on Friday. But I still got to stay on our side of the town and train tonight, and then I'll head out there with her tomorrow.
Yeah, and how has that been? Obviously not like quite on the same cards, but similar trajectories and close enough. I would think that would benefit your training. Like, obviously you're working quite hard yourself, but just the dynamics with, you know, Crystal there and preparing for her own fights, I would think that would pay dividends in a certain sense.
Yeah, that's cool because, you know, we are always, both training, full time together and stuff, and we both kind of know the struggles one another might be going through. Hers are usually more so on the dieting side, just because she has to cut her calories to properly make weight and stuff, and I kind of opted to do what I always do and just kind of fight at a bigger weight class and just walk around at my fight weight more or less, so I don't have to ever diet or starve myself. But yeah, man, it's been good. The only downside to not being on the same card where ours were like just a couple weeks apart like this is the post-fight celebration. The whole time we're in fight camp, we never go out and have fun or drink or anything. We're just pretty regimented and stay on the straight and narrow. But usually after a fight, we want to kind of cut loose and have fun and have a few drinks or whatever. But after she gets the win on Friday, she'll be able to drink, but I got to still stay good because, again, I got a couple more weeks till mine. But I'll part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, maybe have like a big Sally after your fight, like really send her kind of thing.
That we definitely will, because we'll be in the UK. I think the bars stay open a little later over there, and maybe go out and have a few of the locals.
And is that something you're enjoying as part of this? I know certain fighters maybe are more partial to, I guess, competing a little closer to home. Like, there are certain facets that come with the traveling component. Some people really enjoy that part of it. Like, are you thinking it's going to be a cool kind of thing, have a stamp on the passport and get to check out the UK? Like, how are you kind of looking at it?
It's exciting to me, man. There's always the benefits of fighting in your own backyard where, you're able to have friends and family come out and support you, and you definitely got people cheering for you a lot harder. But that being said, I've never got to spend any time in the UK. The only thing I've had was like a connecting flight back in I think it was 2015. I had like a little trip to Paris and Amsterdam and stuff, but I haven't got to spend any time over there. And, overall it'll still be kind of a quick trip. I think we fly out on the 14th, headed that way, and then we come back, the day after the fight. But it is exciting to go over there and get to check out a new country and stuff. And, I don't expect anybody that's a local over there to be cheering for me, at least not initially, but I have a feeling they're like most fans where they just want to see a good fight. So I think once the fight gets going, that the crowd will be, cheering for both of us.
And it seems like you're still right in the mix. I mean, your last fight obviously ended sort of inauspiciously in a certain sense, but with more so mentioning it just being like an interim title fight. And now you're fighting the number 2 contender in the division. Like, what were your thoughts when this bout offer came your way? Because it seems like you're, getting to at least advance in the division relative to the, rankings. I mean, they are arbitrary, but still kind of represents upward mobility, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's best case scenario because, after the way the last fight ended with a no contest, I was pissed. We were all pissed, and we wanted to get an immediate rematch, which is what we asked for. But BKFC in general doesn't like to do like rubber matches. You know what I mean? Like I can only think of one time that they ever had a rematch with like less than a year in between the fights. Because they usually kind of like to, again, maybe spread them out, build it up a little bit, and then have people go back at it. But since we weren't able to get that rematch, this is by far, best case scenario. I didn't expect it to happen the way it did, but it just kind of came to fruition pretty quickly, and I was like, awesome, man. Like, to me, fighting Christie is worth more than fighting Dyer again anyways. He is the British champ. He's undefeated and stuff. So I think it'll count towards a lot more than fighting Dyer again. That's just more of a personal vendetta at this point. So this is awesome. The way this all came about.
Yeah, because if we're going strictly by the rankings, I mean, I feel like you win this fight and it could set you right up in there unless they go with, David Mundell, who is currently ranked number 1 at light heavyweight, and just an interesting sort of state in the division, like just with what Lorenzo might do next and stuff like that. I felt like I asked you that last time, and just your thoughts on what could manifest with that. It still seems kind of unclear. Is that sort of, maybe frustrated is the wrong word, but does that create a certain muddled picture for you as a fighter that's mindful of kind of climbing that hierarchy, or is it just like whatever task is in front of you, you just focus all your energy to that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, whoever they put in front of me, I'm not going to turn down, but with the way the rankings are, they are kind of funny because, like, before my last fight, I was ranked 3rd. I want to see Danny Christie was 4th, and I think Doolittle was 5th, and Dyer was unranked. And then somehow by, I don't know, BKFC ranking math, we get a no contest. It bumps me down to 4th and bumps Dyer up to 5th. I'm like, how the fuck does that make any sense? But yeah, as far as the other guys in the rankings, Mundell's one of my good friends and teammates and stuff. So he wouldn't even, try and jump in the mix for 185 at this point with me heading for it anyways. Now, me and him have made jokes of like, all right, you keep that 175, I'll get the 185 title, and then we'll just ask if we can flip-flop because, I don't know if it's a secret or not, but as far as like walk-around weight, Dave is actually bigger than I am, and he just does, a fairly significant cut to get to his weight class, whereas I just kind of wake up, sweat out a few pounds, and call it good. So he would actually probably be a lot more comfortable at 185, honestly. And I don't know. I might be able to make 175. I'm so lean on my day-to-day. It's just like I don't have a lot to lose besides water weight. That's just kind of how I'm built and kind of how I've always been. But, we've always joked about that. But, yeah, otherwise, I would like to at some point get a clear answer from Lorenzo and BKFC what he's going to do. Like, if he is going to trim back down and defend it, awesome. Let's plan for that. If he's not, that's okay too. Just go ahead and vacate it so the rest of the guys in the mix can start kind of getting their ducks in a row, who they might be training for. And it, it's just kind of been like something that keeps getting put off. Like, I know BKFC, they had told us they were trying to, push it for a while. Like, hey, you need to either vacate it, this and that, blah, 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 make a decision. And he had those aspirations of going up to heavyweight, which I don't know if that's still what he's trying to do or if that got, put on the back burner. And then we kind of figured that, he just had that title defense for the cruiserweight. We kind of figured, like, okay, if he wins, then he'll vacate the 185. If he loses, then of course he'll want to be more apt to defend it. But I think honestly, he's just probably trying to keep the term, double champ status as long as he can before he's like forced to make a move. But it would be nice if he would just kind of publicly make a decision what he's going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even entirely sure myself. I mean, like you said, last time was at cruiserweight, and there was that clip going around of him at the Valor BK event with like their new heavyweight champ, LeVar Johnson, and all. So yeah,
what a joke that was! Fucking like that didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, all right, I know that fight was going down like in his hometown, so obviously he was going to be there, try and get any kind of camera time he can, but the whole them like getting each other's shit and squaring off about it, it's like, dude, it's two different organizations, and I don't know, like, are you that starved for attention? It's just kind of ridiculous, honestly.
I mean, I was fairly confused seeing it myself, but yeah, is what it is, I suppose. But we were kind of talking about, the dynamics with your training and stuff like that. It seems like, Shift MMA is just one of the predominant sort of gyms in BKFC right now. Like we've talked about, yourself, Crystal, David, but, Jihad Wingfield with the great stuff he's done in like the strategist coaching capacity, Brandon Allen. Can you talk about like just like that collective you guys have curated there and just like what it's been able to do in the sport so far? I mean, obviously a lot more to do, and you guys are goal-oriented, but it seems like you guys are one of, like, the, I guess, prevalent gyms in Bare Knuckle.
Yeah, man. In a non-conceited type way, I really do think that we, if you ran the numbers and stuff, I think we really do have the best Bare Knuckle gym around because, some of these, I guess, management agencies can claim like, oh, well, we've had, X amount of champs or top ranked guys or whatever. But that's just, one generalized company where it's the fighters are spread over different states and different gyms and stuff. Like, we are all in one little hole in the wall gym training together. And, I think the results have shown that we're top notch. But yeah, it's been great being over there, man. I mean, like I said, Jihad really is a great strategist and coach and teacher, and a lot of people just aren't good at teaching or explaining things. Like they'll tell you to do something that they were told to do whenever they were up and coming being trained, but a lot of times they don't know the reason that they're actually teaching such things, and I'm kind of one of those guys, like, if I'm told to do something new, if it doesn't immediately make sense to me, I have to kind of ask, like, why am I doing it this way? And why would I not do it this way instead? And he's just really good at explaining it to me. And once it is explained to me, then I'm kind of more apt to do it correctly and to, consistently train on it. So, yeah, man, we just had a really good stable of guys in there, and, everybody gets along, and, like, we're always getting after it, but we really do, like, have a good time in there, always cracking jokes on each other and playing around and stuff. And typically, like, when we spar and whatnot, we're usually just going light, working on different kinds of technique and speed and stuff, and then we go to other gyms for hard sparring. That way you don't damage your own people, you go damage somebody else's people. So our our whole setup and dynamic over there is pretty awesome and on point.
Yeah, it's just cool to hear like the dynamics of how he is able to impart the information to you. I mean, I feel like that's a big skill in being a coach in general too. I imagine that probably exists in maybe even slightly different ways to some of the other fighters. Like, it's obviously great to, have the knowledge, but, being able to impart it in different ways to different people, because people learn differently at the end of the day. So, I mean, it seems like he would have that there with Shift and everything, just that ability to impart it to, different learning styles, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And on top of, Jihad is, kind of gets the credit of being like the head coach, and he is, and of course he always stands out. He's always dressed nice and stuff. But we got two other main coaches in there. We got one guy, Rick Coleman, his name. We call him 300. That's been his nickname as long as I've known him. And then my other boy, Anwar. And the three of them always, work our corners together and stuff. And those two, the other two coaches they weren't fighters themselves, but, very long-term athletic people, and are very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. They put their time in as a student of the game, and like you wouldn't know that they weren't, initially fighters themselves. Like they put their time in. Like when we're off doing our own thing on a day to day, they're watching tape and bouncing ideas off each other, and getting to work with them like on a one-on-one basis with like mids, and even having them like corner us during when we do outside sparring at other gyms and stuff. Like these guys have impressed me with just how much they know and how good they are at it, because that's cornering people is a whole nother art in itself. I mean, I've had a little taste of it, and it's harder than a lot of people think, because you have to, you're watching the fight, and you're always going to have a little bit of emotion involved because your person's in there going after it, but you have to be able to kind of put that aside and stay present and really look at the nuts and bolts of what's happening and come up with a game plan of, well, what are we going to change in between rounds, coming up, and to be able to do that on the spot and do it concisely and stuff is definitely an art, and all three of them do it really well together.
Yeah, well said. And even from the fighter perspective, not presuming, I guess you feel this way necessarily, but I've talked to a few fighters who talk about how it's almost more stressful to like be cornering someone because they're not like directly involved in the outcome or flow of the action. So yeah, it seems like a different thing for sure, man.
Yeah, it is. When I jumped in the Crystal's corner when she fought in Colorado last year, that was kind of like a big taste of it for me. As far as like having some emotion and again trying to assist at the same time. It's definitely a whole different ballgame, man. Yeah,
I mean, I can only imagine. But we were talking about your opponent a bit earlier, and you definitely seem acutely aware of him, at least in as far he's the UK champion. I guess I'm curious to just get your thoughts on this guy's skill set from what you may have seen, and I guess just general resume, just with it being 3-0 so far and has a few finishes. I mean, just as you do, obviously, but like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, some of his better stylistic attributes and overall bare knuckle resume?
I would say he's semi-technical. A lot of times guys are one or the other, either technical or brawler. I would say he's kind of somewhere in the middle, because he does use some decent head movement and stuff when he's on the outside, and it seems like he definitely has a little boxing experience previous to bare knuckle, but he also does sometimes when he gets caught up on the inside end up kind of being a bit of a brawler. So I see a bit of both from him. As far as resume, I would say it's decent. The reason I say that is like his last fight, was a game opponent who had some experience and stuff, and it was kind of back and forth at first, and then Christie ended up getting the win. But his two opponents previous to that, you can't really base too much off it. One of them was a debuter, and one of them had only losses. So I didn't base too much off those first fights. But like I said, that being said, his last one was legit. It was a good fight, and I got respect for the guy, and I don't think it'll be an easy fight by any means. I think it's going to turn out to be quite an exciting one.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like every time you get out there, and I could extend that to Christie as well, definitely a ton of excitement. And that was the case last time with the Dyer rematch, and I'd kind of asked you about that, if you had like a visualization for how it might go, and you were like, if I was a betting man, I'd say, probably wouldn't go the distance. Is that a similar sort of prediction you have for this one, I guess?
Yeah, I do, man. Just because, in general, I would say most bare knuckle fights don't go the distance, and I would say the higher the weight classes go up, that percentage probably goes up too. So I even though I've had a few first round knockouts, I don't usually bet on that being the situation, because most people are supercharged the first round, and they can kind of push through, some initial shots and injuries and stuff. But that being said, I hit hard, cuts happen, so it could definitely end in the first. But I would say more likely it's a second or third round kind of finish.
Well, I was definitely excited for this fight before talking to you, but definitely, increasing that much more after getting some insights and all. But like I was kind of saying earlier, man, definitely do want to be considerate of your time and busy schedule. So in saying that, I'm curious if there's maybe a final thought you'd want to add as we're kind of wrapping up here, Jared.
No, man, nothing in particular. Just, whenever people do tune in and watch it, it means a lot to me. I know there's going to be a different time zone and stuff. It's going to be on basically a Saturday afternoon as far as most people I know are concerned. But, when people take their time out to watch these fights and stuff, and, we can have a decent sized crew flying out there from the gym. So that always means a lot to me. So I appreciate it. And, I always promise to put on an exciting fight. So if they do tune in, your time won't be wasted.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a great card overall, and just really excited for, BKFC 55. It should be a great main event against Danny Christie on November 18th. But just wanted to thank you for coming on Bare Knuckle Radio, Jared, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and looking forward to peeping the fight when it goes down, man.
My pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me, and hit me up anytime. Just like before I said, I'll be happy to come back on, and I appreciate the time and exposure.
Yeah, no, likewise, man. Fun getting to talk to you. You've got a great mind for the game and everything, and yeah, you have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Talk soon.
This episode of Bouts Talking Bouts is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Winning parlays, if you're looking for them in BKFC, you got to be checking out BK Bet Shark. Here's the thing. $50 buys, you get a personalized bet slip. It's based on your own budget. You can be flexible. It is what works for you. And this guy's got the receipts. You can check out all the winning tickets. You can peep them, and you can do so at Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Check him out on Instagram and get with it. Got them personalized betting slips going on, $50 buys.